Nilikuwa naziandika Facebook. Nakumbuka kuna rapa alinistopisha akaniambia, "Buda na unaangalia lyrics zako Facebook." Akaniambia ningekuwa na fans kao wako mse, mali ningekuwa saa hii. Lazima mse anaandika lyrics zangu Facebook. Niko like, what? It was like, hey, write that shit.
Yeah, do that.
Show them.
Yeah, and I was like,
Show them.
Realize most Kenyans don't listen, they just box. Like your time on Facebook is trash these days, so I don't, it's good for whatever you do, post it, love it, but I don't think it's on the same level of engagement and exposure. But I remember those days you could go door to door, you could find people who you were against. It was actually social media. It was like you could get social friction, also find people who really care about what you do, and like, yeah. So there were people nakumbuka, they would not, they just thought, umse tu, watu wanarapingi na English, as in kulikuwa na bado hizo, like on such a basic level. Now. Yeah, and then I remember one day I put the lyrics to clap, my soul is expensive. They want to control the creative, pick the pen when I'm pensive, and then there was pen when I'm tensive, lenses on my senses, the naked mind has no defenses, so bond baby bond, there's nothing new under the sun, walls are ears, the hills are eyes, I had the wind whisper, the ocean's in deep, so give me gray skies, give me sunshine. Like, to me that's, hey dude, that's just like, so I wrote it and this guy just used to, like this, you know, sneak this. They go like, oh, who's this? I'm like, okay. I don't think I even replied.
Yeah.
And yeah, kuna hiyo element of the written word.
The element of surprise.
Yeah, the written word when people read and yeah, there was that. So yeah, shout out for mse kuandika lyrics because I think pia mimi before nianze kurap nilikuwa nikisikiza album nilikuwa nafanya the same thing nikiwa high school vile nilianza Facebook. I think ilikuwa Mtaa mentality. Nilikuwa naandika lyrics nikiwa hiyo time nilikuwa form 3. Sasa nilikuwa nafikiria ni lyrics zangu. Jail imefail, jaribu hugs. Aonekani mtaani ka Santa Claus kinyozi, machozi ya kitunguu, roho ya Robocop, Sara nipata mtoto na hako menopause. Like I used to write those things.
What up, bro?
Yeah, no, so I go like, oh, me now, I didn't listen to Koflani, nilisikiza Mtaa mentality, and that shit was dope. Coming time ya Canaan, so kulikuwa na rise of this
poetic,
like poetic, who are religious, who at the same time they are not. The religion is just a standpoint wamechukua ndo wasikuwe classified na wase wengine. So I used to love that, and those things like really guided me. Like how ukisikia Trabolee price, it kayo mixture of Van Damme na Van Gogh, tumetumia kicks kupaint. Hiyo ni ka Juliani bar angeisema, but me translate after years digest like, oh, you can write like this.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So hiyo aspect ya ku write lyrics. Squeeze ukiandika lyrics hata quote. Yeah. And then at the same time we were also very like ilikuwa easier ku record. I think record kati nilikuwa na distribution sites na record labels, mimi na wewe tungepatana. Ningekuwa ule mseamga ni jua, ningepotea tu. Na kama ningekuwa naweza record na sell, alafu tusifai kutoka kwa hao, ningeishi tu maisha ingine because kulikuwa na hiyo shyness ya explain yourself. Because nakumbuka kuna msanii aliandika something about ego death, that track, and they had this scientific explanation of what ego death means. I remember wase wakiuliza, Tra amepitia hiyo stuff, Tra experience ego death.
You.
And then you, that's the ego in the track. I might have my own if you guys want to ask, but I remember mzee aliandika and nakumbuka now it was now explain yourself, you know. Now when you show up next, I just can't be myself, and sometimes nituka hizo zinafanya. I think hiyo line Andre 3K usema we try so hard to be stars just to dodge comments. Dodge comments. Hizo vile alisema. I was like, yeah. So kuna na hiyo stuff. Nakumbuka kuna demo alituambia atatulipia video ya freedom of speech mimi na Kina. Tukajikunja mkia tu like sasa mama akiona hiyo. Nakumbuka kumbuka Kina alikuwa ameteza na kirap. Nakumbuka tukipatana na
Kwa ground vitu ni different.
Tukipatana na Kina Kalimani. Nakumbuka time tumeenda the first battle zilikuwa hapo Tao. Leo time kwa metoa dynasties and kingdoms. Msana sikia dynasties. Kalimani is like 6 feet. Alafu sisi tunakaa Trabolee. Ati hawase. Kwa hizo matra ni hawase wadogo hawa. Ni hawase. Si ati mimi ni mfupi but Romy ndio ana watch his height. But yeah. And then tulikuwa na so kuna hiyo like you can be all these things and you need that. Unahitaji hiyo aspect ya create without being an extent, but most of it is also an extension of you. But you shouldn't, I don't know how to put it, but some work inafai kuwa allowed to breathe for its own sake until even sometimes the artist haja digest his own work.
Some work kuna wakini ina feeling inahitaji kumachua ndio uielewe, like even so that you can approach it differently from when you first conceived it.
Exactly.
Because like conception, because movie sometimes conception inakuanga like at times like a hurried process. Like ni kama you feel kwanza there are some pieces I believe you've written like una feel it's pressing, like it needs to come out and it needs to come out now. Usipoiandika itaenda, you know. Na kuna wakati ukishia kapo hivyo unaiacha ukikujia unaona ala, so this is what I was saying, and then you even get clarity as to even some words you edit out, na kwa kaka you thesaurus some words just for like meaning, like intent yako ikue as sharp as it can, as clear, as precise as it can, and it's something that is needed because they're not being prepared.
Giving us an example here, Ingo, there one thing that you notice, kwanza this is such an interesting debut video umesema. Hata kwa Kenyan context, it's very personal, ni vulnerable, tutakutumia hiyo word.
Kupenda vulnerable. Iko fun na iko na vulnerability pia.
Ni kama tu. Ni kama tu. Iko na hizo aspects, kuna a lot of emotion being conveyed from the word go, from I forgave you as the opener. Na inaanza na this moment ya opening up to us na kushare experience yako, lakini pia si a moment tu ya kulament na kukua angry, but kuna sort of redemption na the creator ku accept na also ku acknowledge that I am doing better and to take a different direction, and kuna that sort of acknowledgement. Now while the opening song inaweza kuwa jarring as umesema for the other person, and the image that ili create kwa kichwa chake inaanza na such an emotional point, but it's very honest, na it gives you more than a glimpse to the artist. Na you know the opening song na ni kitu mufikiria sana kuhusu that song as well as right here in the same light right here that capture loss in that intense na honest manner, and they are, let's say, standout songs for both of you, lakini also kwa landscape ya Kenyan hip hop na songs that zimedeal na loss of a parent especially na how zime capture the emotion. But kind of the opening, a lot of even the opening actually track ikifika mwisho na the excerpt before umalize the song, and then as we get to the rest of the album, you've always drawn from a lot of references. Na tumeongelea references earlier. So kuna from what's his name? From Alan Watts. Then kuna the references now musically, you mentioned kina Nifela. And these ideas that una draw from genetic na kina Bhagavad Gita, and yourself with these ideas that the ego and philosophies are being a god, and hata kwa lash especially ilikuwa na so much conviction when you ulikuwa naisema the concept of God at the time. These references that ulikuwa una draw from at the time, where were they stemming from?
Wow. Hey Buddha. Kuna time nisema sana kwa sana nikaisikia sana kosana.
Language.
As in, pia translation. Kuna stuff nikasikia Saul Williams akisema ile project yake fulani ilianza, alikuwa France. Alafu msee akasema Martin Luther King akaisikia ka Martin Luther King. Na hiyo time kulikuwa na hizi wars, blacks wanauliwa. Afrika akafikiria should he get offended na ambie mse iseme vizuri, but akarealize vile ameisikia ina match pia reality ya Martin Luther King. Ni kama Martin Luther King had a dream, whatever hiyo image walimpatia. Then from here akakuwa able to build the whole project.
So that was the idea of the album.
Yeah, akatoa the whole idea of an album from mispronounce kitu. And it's like, oh snap, ile shit, if a tree falls in a forest, na kuna did it fall? And the same thing, msea akishema, na kuna msea na pia mimi masikio zangu zinaweza shema, unacheki, so zinaweza shema zisikie vitu. And I think hiyo ndio language and all that. But I think also any artist mwenye umake a project, kuna vitu wana soakingi as they make that project. Utapata kuna wase watch movies, kuna wase wanaanza kusoma political books, wanajimass into this thing. I don't think people do that anymore, but when the more I realized, I learned it from Juke especially. I think we met each other. When we met Occult, we also immersed ourselves in certain, like, just to learn and see what will come out of that. I remember things you watch, and when I was making what was at home, I was just writing, but at the same time there are things I was watching. I think when we met once in town, we went out Satguru, and that time people didn't even know he existed. I think I showed, and you were like, "Oh, hundo msema tunachikingi." I was like, "Okay, cool." Yeah, so I used to wake up like, those times we kunaenda mpaka cyber, we try convert to MP3, unaweka kwa masikio, unasikiza. So I'd listen to like stuff as I walk. At the same time, they were helping me process, like, the loss of my dad. I lost when I was 17, because even my bro who lost him, he was around 12. There's a time he was going through something, akaniambia, "Hey, ngoma yako inaitwa I Forgive." Neza just ameumse. I was like, oh snap, that's what it means to be an artist. You can find a channel ya kutoi aggression. If someone else ana hiyo kitu, ujui vile ina burden, but me sikuwa unamforgive sometime though, upia uko free. Because the next track that follows is even the Royal Rumble. It's like, yo dude, let's come to let's lighten the mood. Kuna hiyo just that balance. And even things like ego then. I realized when you say ego, because niliendanga show fulani ya Labala, and when he had ego, he thought hapa, so he thought alikuwa anaongea tu mse ako na ego kubwa, even though wasiofikiria about ego.
Yeah.
But I think ego is not si kitu wenye you can kill, because that's what the ego will tell you, kill your ego, and that's the ego pulling a trick on you. And that's one of the biggest ego things. So unasema oh mi sinanga ego bro. As in sinanga ego, me too. That's your ego again coming in. But at the same time, our problem with our society, unapata mse, someone for every level of your life you need a different type of ego. Like you can't, if you are an artist for example at a very big scale, you might need to have a big ego to protect the things you create so that no one can come in and destroy it. But that ego is necessary. But you find in our society hakuna kitu una create, watu kuna ego haiko, haina job iko tu, alafu some mtu wote anaweza guza tu hivi wow, hapo ndo unacheki msee amejaa ina transform, unaona hakuna kitu, there was nothing. Hakuna kitu but hauna kitu but uko tu like, but ukiwa na kitu una make, so maybe that's why Kanye anaweza kuwa understandable. He has a lot of things he's doing. He's not just gonna make books, whatever. That's a whole other context. Or someone who's whatever you. I don't know. Kina most deaf. That's why they decide to change countries, because there's something. There's a soul that's becoming big. So the ego also has to grow in the same proportion, and to protect this, to encase the soul. And what do I say? That's a bad result. What do? An ego that's a cage. So even some of these things I didn't understand them when I was saying. And also for me I was like, it was the ego death in the form of that song. That's crazy. It was just the things I say, Christ was homophobic. It was more violence.
They told me if Christ came back it'd
be homophobic. Where's the love? We lost it. De-evolving. You know, and that jam, I played it for self-loathing. need something to feel important. Dude, yeah. Turn the other cheek. This is sex on a crucifix. So it was
that opening.
That's and then the beat itself as this thing. It's also like poking at whatever I'm saying. So there's nuance, but also it was just, I think grief was, I was grieving, and grieving and gravity. I mean, it's something I've realized. If you grieve properly, you come to realize like there's an agony we all have as human beings, and each that needs to be scratched. Something, a part of us inahitaji like a sense of community. There's certain things. Saizo wa sort of one man solo Buddha. Unahitaji places of like when they upatane na wase wata reflect something back to you. Ama place unaweza enda tu ucheke na msee without being judged. Ama place unaweza na msee kujudge na usifinika story yenu akwambia hizo ni ufala. So like even having 1183, these are people who like can check me and be like, it's getting to your head now, you know. Some of these things may get lost in your own source, or some you know. So yeah.
I think at the tune itself, naweza sema hiyo pia ni sort of reference that you're drawing from for the album, apart from kile nimemention earlier, that being a recurring thought na callback kwa the entire album. Something that we mentioned ni the writing kwa ego death. Nilikuwa nasikia hiyo project leo asubuhi, Die for Your Answers, Trapped. These songs are very symbolic, very abstract. And one song that has maintained to have that up until now, Trapped, the abstract nature of the writing ya hiyo ngoma trap inside you and even die for your concept ya die for your answers.
Yeah. Because if I break, then the image is shattered. Don't nail me to your question marks. I won't die for your answers.
So a lot of symbolism, something niko nafikiria looking at, although umesema earlier huko na a blueprint ya how you are thinking about nianze na hii ngoma nifanye hivi, alafu ulikuwa na grand ideas for the music. One thing I was thinking about listening to it, because imekuwa a long time since nisikize, ni from I forgave you and the moment of clarity and acceptance to the fun that is even the Royal Rumble with Kina. Msee mwenye nilifeel touch yake ilikuwa different kwa that album. Na uni Adam Lambert akikumbangia the apple of your eye. who is saying only Kina and is a phrase thoughts zake hivyo mafuta ya transformer kutubatiza. Usiona ameshakufa juu ya ujinga. And then the idea that is trapped and even a sort of dark instrumental, then Die for Your Answers, gonna a bit of louder claps. So this sort of moving from one mood to the other towards the sublime idea, yeah, beauty. So that sort of juxtaposition. Then where do you go from here?
Yeah.
And the opening, yeah, my friend, I'm pushing you from the second floor, and I'm thinking of maybe I should do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so this dark themes and lighter moments, lighter instrumentations, raw Trabolee price, and that back and forth. Nikisikia this album back in 2015, sikuwa nasikia albums in that manner, and my listening may change. Was that a deliberate thing? Because nilikuwa nafikiria this is so befitting of the entire album. Hizi themes are dark and light, and the balance. Do you if that is the way we approach while you are creating it, and it happened to
coincidental.
Yeah.
The initial project, nimekumbuka the name, was Half Sun, Half Moon. That was yeah.
Na kuna nini line useme kuna busa half sun half moon.
That was is it in, it's in Occult law, I think.
I think you bring it here, lakini the half sun half moon imagery ilikuwa sana kwa Occult law.
Yeah, it was half sun, like the sun, like mtoto, and half moon. That was something, because even at the end of I Forgave You, what Alan Watts says, if you think you'll experience death, then try to remember the way
it was like before
you were born.
Then that is how it will be.
Yeah, and it's like, I remember listening to that, I was like, oh my god. So it wasn't like I could say deliberate, but I think it was me like trying to reflect on death and life, because death was too much. There was a death happening in friends and passing, very young friends, 19, 20, and I'm like, whoa, these are my people I grew up with. And then so maybe it was just ile una process vitu unconsciously, and then zinatoka kwa kalamu through that way. Nakumbuka, where do we go from here? I said let me just speak. So I had the beat, and then I just spoke. Because if I had written, ningeanza ku overthink. Nikasema tu, even it's trapped in oblivion, you know? Yeah. It's like, you know, it's like that beat, and then the beat switch, it's like, where do we go from? It's like that's like a panic moment, you know? It's like, yeah, in a come just from, where do we go from here? And the way Johazi made it, like, we had very little tools. Kuna kitu black alikuwa ananiambianga, most artists, the more you increase your studio, nika creativity, the more you get more equipments, unaanza kuwa more technical. So yeah, sometimes he'll put some things out just to maintain your element of, I just have enough. I can use, you don't have to, so that even the element of progress, I'll get this, and then, because I remember I used to go to some studios and I'm like, hey, you have so much, but you can't even make one song. You can't make a complete song, but you have everything. So thinking in the same context, no, you're like, no, I didn't do it consciously, but it was something that maybe I needed to hear myself. I needed to tell, I needed to share. And I think, yeah, I don't know. There's so much that can be said.